Well, in this week's Business Bite, I want to talk around a subject called draw a line in the sand. You know, there are many times in business and life that compromise and negotiation fail. So when you're at that stage, you've got to draw a line in the sand and say, what do I need to change to get a different result? You keep doing the same things and you'll keep getting the same results. And you need to get those problems solved if your business or your career is going to go forward. So focus on solutions rather than focus on problems. So you solve problems in business by focusing on solutions and not the problem. Candy Timpson from Timpson Communications in her email newsletter shares 5 ways to not get bogged down and bogged down specifically in analysing a problem, because you've heard about paralysis by analysis. Well, we're very good at that and we need to move away from that and focus on solutions. So here's the 5 simple practical tips she has. Number 1, focus on what you want rather than what you don't want. This will give you clarity, and it takes away some of the options that you're already focusing on that actually aren't going to get you a solution. So you focus on what you want, what do you want to achieve out of this problem, out of this solution, where do we want to be in this business? Focus on that rather than the problem itself. Number 2, decide what your ideal future is. Then work backwards to plan how you get there. And it's good to, I say to people, think 3 years ahead. Where do you see yourself if there's no problems, no obstacles? And then now come back and plan the steps to get you there. It's interesting that the steps aren't all that big, and you start to achieve them, you grow towards where you want to be. Number 3, consider the options. What is actually possible? I have people come to me and say, we've got this situation, this difficulty, this problem, and there's no solution. Well, there's always solutions. Some of them may not be comfortable solutions that you're going to have to make and decide to do, but there is always options. I remember having people in the Gloria Jean's Coffees days and in my advertising days would come to me and say, we've got this major issue and there's no solutions. And I go, there's always solutions, so let's sit down and talk about it. And I would come up with some weird solution and they'd all laugh and say, that's not possible. I said, well, so far you've come up with nothing, I've given you one. And I would think of 2 or 3 other solutions, which most of them they didn't like. And I said, well, you go away and work on it. It's interesting how they'll come back with a very good solution, because I've actually challenged their thinking away from the issue that there's no solutions. Number 4, notice what's working and do more of it. So often we tend to find something that's working, so we start investing in all the things that aren't working. I reckon you fuel the fire and you keep moving forward. Doesn't mean you only do that, but you've got to fuel the things that are actually bringing results. It may be an attitude, it may be a promotion, it may be an idea that needs fueling. Number 5, take small, easy, achievable actions. So often we want to look at some big action that's going to change everything. There's usually no magic bullet in any situation, so you start with small steps. So I encourage people to write down every action, and if there's an action that requires several steps, no matter how small, detail them individually, then put against it who's going to do it by when. And when you start to see little things being achieved, it creates momentum and it works towards overcoming the problem, the solution, or the way forward. So to get where you want to be, take firm decisions and the effort that goes with it. When you draw a line in the sand, you make a positive decision to do things differently or think differently about your business or your career. Think long term, not just short term. Don't solve or a simple answer to something just to solve a problem for today. That is only a band-aid solution, and it will come back and bite you again. Decisions need to be made not just for today, but for the future with your career and your business. You know, news agents and bookstores are now thinking differently. Video stores have had to think differently. Many of them didn't, and they now no longer exist. Technology and service businesses will need to think differently. Retailers constantly need to think differently, with competitors of online, hire lease retail space, and any of the other problems that come up for them. Printed media has been forced to think differently. Broadcast media is also thinking differently. So do you get the message? Think about it. How is your business going to evolve? A friend of mine wrote in a newsletter not long ago, and he said, yesterday men invented the light bulb, planes, trains, cars, telephones, TVs and radios. Today they invent Facebook, Twitter, Google, YouTube, iPads, iPods and iPhones. And even just recently I've had someone send me details from America about a hologram, where you can now have a hologram of yourself appear live on stage in multiple locations, and you can actually dialogue with the person standing next to you. And that's a whole new way for people can actually go live into a situation, because someone has invented it. It not long ago cost $2 million to have that technology. Today you can get it for about $100,000. So just because something may be expensive one day, it gets developed and competition comes, and sooner or later there's an option for you to be able to use some of this technology and other ways of doing business, because you drew a line in the sand and you looked at your business differently. Tomorrow, who knows? That's why you need to be nimble and flexible in every area of your business. Do you wake up every day saying, what do we need to do differently today? I have a speaker I heard last year and read his book, and he said he now has in his business Change Thursday. Every day he goes in and says, what do we need to change? And they make sure they make one change every week to impact and make their business better. So draw a line in the sand and find someone who's going to challenge your thinking, your ideas, your business, your direction, and go for it.